And there's a couple things I want to bring up here. First of all, for those of you that don't know, Alex Cooper is the host of Call Her Daddy, the podcast, which is probably one of the top 5 most popular podcasts in the United States right now, and probably one of the top 15 podcasts throughout the world right now. And Spotify basically signed a licensing deal with Alex Cooper for 3 years, $60 million, the equivalent of a standard NBA contract, second NBA contract. And also, Alex continues to have a merchandise deal with Barstool, which was her old company where she was releasing her podcast out of. And so she is she's basically giving Barstool a portion of the profits from the merchandise that she's selling off their website. So basically, she's making double the money from both companies. Works out for Alex. She got a bag. I think that's the first takeaway we got to come through here. 3 years, $60 million is no fucking joke. That's an NBA contract for a podcaster. So, Hey, Spotify, if you're listening to this, I get like 2 viewers an episode, but like I could take like a 2-year, $10 million contract. You know what I'm saying? I'll take the vet minimum. But yeah, Alex got the bag. And here's what I want to say about this. It's weird to me that the two faces of Spotify podcasting are Alex Cooper and Joe Rogan. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, they're two polar opposite individuals. They're two people who do things very differently. Joe Rogan tends to be more on the conservative side of things. People call the Rogan Bros. He has his opinions that are very controversial, and he said things on his podcast which are a little, so to say the least. I don't think liberal millennials are necessarily the most happy with Joe at the moment, but Alex is like the opposite. She just kind of says what's on her mind type thing. But she talks only and primarily about sex, love, and relationships. Those are the 3 things that she talks about the most. And what I've noticed with Alex Cooper is, the reason she got this money is, first of all, she completely deserves this. She's a super entertaining host. She's someone who just can grab your attention for 90 minutes on a podcast episode, and you wouldn't want to stop listening because she's just so fucking entertaining. And the second thing is that I think Alex Cooper is kind of creating this counterculture. And what I mean by that is that we live in a society today where it's very taboo to talk about a lot of the shit that Alex talks about. And for those of you that listen to Call Her Daddy, like, what I'm talking about. She talks very graphically about sex, love, the hardships of it, relationships. Everything in those 3, in that holy trinity of relationships, she talks about, and she talks about in grave detail, which may piss off the 40-year-old Indian aunties that happen to want to listen to the podcast, happen to want to check out Call Her Daddy after they listen to this episode. Please don't. I'm praying. I'm giving you a disclaimer right now. This is something that your daughters wouldn't want you to listen to. And I wouldn't want you to either, because it could potentially be bad. But anyway, Alex Cooper is creating this counterculture where she's basically flipping the conversation on its head and saying, okay, fuck you. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and I'm going to say it in all the details possible. And the ironic part is, now the old white men that were permitting these kind of types of podcasts and entertainment from really reaching the pinnacles that they are now after Alex Cooper for her money, because, she just got $20 million. It's pretty interesting to think about. But she is creating a counterculture. She's kind of flipping everything on its head. And she's saying, like, let's talk about these things, because there's a necessity to have these conversations. And based on the following that she's developed, it's clear that people want to have those conversations about sex and love and relationships. And we've gotten to the point where that is a possibility here in 2021, where I guess no topic is off limits. And that is a super interesting thing to think about. And also the fact that she's a woman and she's going to be one of the faces of Spotify's podcasting space is awesome as well. And another quick thing about Spotify is I find it really interesting that they're really dumping a lot of money. They dumped a lot of money into Joe Rogan and a lot of money into Alex, and they're really dumping a lot of money into the podcast space. And for me, I feel like this is them trying to make a move to acquire a lot of real estate in a space that isn't necessarily being realized by the rest of the world just yet. And I think they're not on the catch up, but they're trying to get ahead of it. And getting two of the biggest podcasters right now, two of the biggest content creators to Spotify exclusive deals is, I mean, what can I say? I think they're ahead of the game. And good on Alex. So congratulations, Alex. You completely deserve what you got.